So, we're standing here in Memphis. Jim, fantastic to meet you today. Look, at the end of the day, property, we've seen some properties at some amazing prices, but at the end of the day, it's all about the management. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you guys do here.
Sure. Well, I've been in the real estate business since college. We're managing 1,200 rental units here. It's a family business, my wife, my two sons, so when I kick the bucket, the business is going to be passed on to the two boys. We're open 7 days a week here in the management business, do a lot of business on the weekends. We manage for over 400 owners, several countries throughout the United States, several states here in the U.S. as well as foreign countries, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, England, whatnot. So we're managing a lot of properties. Just recently moved into this 20,000 square foot building where we can take on a lot more management. We've got about 30 people on payroll here. That includes leasing agents, bookkeepers, and a full staff of maintenance technicians that can handle everything from that could appear in a rental property of need. We buy and sell lots of properties, renovate, turnkey operation on the for sale side. But the management business is what we're really striving to build. We feel like we're the best management company in this city.
Tell us about the lady, I think her name was Adrian, was it?
Adrian.
That purely just focuses on client relations. Because, I'm sitting back in Johannesburg or Cape Town, a hell of a long way from home. I can't fix the toilets if it leaks, and I can't, chase the tenant if they haven't paid. From what I understand from Adrian, her job is to communicate with me.
It is. So we have one lady that just works with the owners. The owners have questions, they communicate with her. If she doesn't know the answer, she finds out the answer. So she gets back with people by email within 24 hours on any question about their statement, their fees, their expenses, whatever.
So it's basically my single point of contact. I'm not trying to deal with 20 different people here, or 30 as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I got Adrian to deal with.
It's real easy, and it's really worked out real well with us. You got to communicate with the owners. We're picking up a lot of clients from other management companies that are failing to communicate. So everybody wants to know what's going on with the property, and we've bridged that with her, and she does a real good job with it.
Now tell me, you've got that software. It sounds, I haven't seen it personally, but it sounds pretty fancy. Again, I'm sitting at home, I can log in, you might be sleeping, doesn't matter, I can log in and see what's going on basically.
It's a system, software called PropertyWare. It's a transparent program where you, the owner, can go online at any time to see when your property was leased, has the tenant paid, what's the expenses during the month. So at any time you can open up your portal and see what your account, your property is performing.
And just, from my perspective, what are the costs like? From what I understand, you've got a 10% management fee per month and half a month upfront, call it a leasing fee, filler fee, whatever. Is that correct?
That's correct. What we charge for managing here is 10% of the collected rent. Some management companies, believe it or not, charge a management fee if the property is not vacant because they feel like they have to work to maintain it, to see it, whatnot. But it's 10% of collected rents. It is a 1/2 a month's rent as a leasing fee. When we lease up a property, that tenant stays there for 2, 3, 4 years. We do not ask for a retention fee, a release fee. If a property for some reason rents twice in a year, we don't charge that 1/2 a month leasing fee.
And just, in terms of, rates and taxes and, I don't know what you call them, but paying to the council, etc. Can you help me with that? Can you facilitate that, or how does that work exactly?
Well, we can, but normally you can pay those online wherever you are in the world.
Okay.
So we ask most people do. We do pay some owners insurance and whatnot, but for the most part you can pay those online. I will say this about insurance. There's a special program that we've got here in Memphis only for our account. That coverage includes earthquake coverage. We beat the big boys here in the United States, State Farm, Allstate. It's a local company that own insurance agency. They're investors of ours. They're also finance guys of ours. It's a real good policy. It's a $1,000 deductible on the front end if you have an expense or a issue. So you, the owner, would pay the $1,000 up front. For anything over that, the insurance would pay. Our normal insurance premium here in Memphis would be about $400 to $500 per year premium.
Okay. 2 last questions. I buy a property, but if I don't have a tenant, I don't care what my discount is. If I don't have a tenant, the whole business model falls over. How do you find the market at the moment? You mentioned to me it's sort of 50% of the market are tenants. It's going up to, you reckon, even up to 65%. Just explain a little bit about what you said with blue collar workers and the demand,
Sure.
etc.
Memphis is a collar town. We have a lot of blue collar jobs, a lot of working man jobs. These jobs are not sexy jobs, but they're jobs that don't fluctuate during the bad times. We don't have a lot of peaks, a lot of valleys. We're driven here by distribution. We're the distribution center of America, home of FedEx. Many railroad companies flow through here with goods. Goods are placed in warehouses, then they're shipped to wherever in the United States. Memphis is within 12 hours of 2/3 of the U.S. population, so it's a distribution center full of blue-collar jobs, whatnot. The overall rental climate right now in Memphis is we're beginning to raise rents. We can rent a vacant property generally within 2 weeks to 30 days after it becomes vacant. On our new stock during the renovation, generally those properties are rented or tenanted out before the end of the rehab period. Strong rental market.
But across your 1,200 portfolio, vacancies of about 7 or 8%. You know, I as an investor, if I want to do my numbers, that's what I should be working
We're
on.
running about 7 to 8% vacancy right now. We're collecting 90% of our rent. We do have a little issue, 2 to 3% of our tenants don't pay or whatnot. But when you can collect 90% of your rent, you're doing a good job.
My last question, the Section 8 thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm living in Africa, I've never heard of Section 8. Just tell us a little bit about it. You know, I know it's a government program. Some people are quite positive about it, some are quite negative. What are your thoughts on
Well,
it?
the Section 8 is a good thing. We manage about 300 properties that are tenanted with Section 8. It's a subsidized rent program where the government either pays all the rent or a portion of the rent. You know, people get down on their luck. They have a hard time. They get a Section 8 voucher for a year or two. Some people get Section 8 vouchers for life. That's a big argument that we taxpayers have, but the bottom line is it's a good paying tenant. It's a tenant that stays longer in a piece of property. If they don't take care of that property, they lose their voucher.
Okay.
So they want to stay there. They want to take good care of their property. That rent's paid on the first of every month. It's guaranteed by the government.
But from my side as an owner, is it not quite onerous trying to have all the certificates and everything you spoke about, or is it worth it?
It's a hassle. It's well worth. The owner over, let's call it a 5-year holding period, will net out a little bit higher yield return than a street tenant, only because that tenant's going to stay there for normally a long time. And the Section 8 rent's generally about a 10% premium rent over street rent.
My last question, Jim, and I find it quite fascinating for the viewers out there. I really think it's quite important for them to understand it. Not only are you doing rental management, but you've got a whole facility of services where people can come and cash their check, they can get loans, you've even got furniture on the back end, etc., etc., etc. We've just been given the big tour here. But that's quite important because you're controlling the process. As you said, you're quite happy to lend money to a tenant because you know where they live, etc., etc. You know, and it gives you quite good deal flow, I presume.
Yeah, we feel like it's a convenience thing for our tenants because if they don't have a bank account, here in the U.S., I know this is going to floor a lot of you people, but here in the U.S., about 35% of our people do not have checking accounts. 35%. Here in Memphis, maybe 40%. So it's a service. A guy gets off work, he's got a paycheck, he comes here, we cash the paycheck, he can pay his rent from that, he gets the balance. He needs a little loan for whatnot, we make loans to tenants. We do sell tenants appliances and finance those. So our retention rate's a little bit higher than a normal management company with those services that we can offer to our tenant base.
That's fascinating. My very last question. You don't have a crystal ball, and I don't expect you to have one better than I do, but I tell you what, you're in the market, you've been here for a long time, you understand the game. Where do you see the market going? You know, I'm looking to invest, I've got investors out there. Where do you see us
Well, I
going?
tell you what, we're on the bottom here in the U.S. period. In Memphis, we're definitely on the upswing. If a good property hits the market, we fight for it. We have to get on that property that day. It's not uncommon for us to bid $5,000 or $6,000 more for a property than the list price because it's being gobbled up. Memphis is a real strong market. Tons of investors throughout the U.S. are buying here, international buyers. The overall economy is real good. The overall we're having an uptick, like I mentioned. Our economy is getting stronger by the month over here. We all know that it could head south again with maybe issues in the banking world in Europe or oil and gas prices. But overall, the economy in Memphis has picked up.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it, and
You're welcome.
look forward to doing some business.
Absolutely.